You know that open door policy you have, the one you're so proud of? What if I told you it might actually be undermining your authority? In the professional world, power isn't what's written on an org chart. It's something that's quietly granted or taken away based on a whole set of hidden signals. And in this explainer, we are going to map one of the most powerful and, frankly, most misunderstood signals of them all: access. I mean, we've all heard it a million times, right? A good leader is always available, they have an open door policy. Being constantly accessible is sold to us as this ultimate sign of a supportive, effective manager. It's basically presented as this non-negotiable virtue if you want to build any kind of trust with your team. Okay, so let's just break this down. On the one hand, you have the belief being available shows you care, it shows you're committed. But then you have the reality of how power dynamics actually work. And the reality is often the complete opposite. Constant, unlimited accessibility doesn't signal commitment. It signals low value. And over time, it systematically erodes the very authority you're trying so hard to build. So what's going on here? Why does a behavior that feels so right, being open and available, actually end up weakening your position? Well, the answer is hidden in the invisible language of power, and that's exactly what we're going to decode right now. This fundamental contradiction, we're going to call it the availability paradox. And it's a dynamic where the more accessible you make yourself, the less your time, your input, and ultimately, your very presence are valued by other people. So let's get into the mechanics of why this actually happens. Look, this paradox isn't just some random thing that happens. It operates on a really predictable, almost unbreakable principle. You can think of it like the scarcity equation. And this equation basically says that how we as humans perceive value is directly tied to how scarce something is. This is true for, luxury goods, for critical information, and maybe most importantly, for a leader's time and attention. And that brings us to this really crucial concept: leverage. Now, when we say leverage here, we're not talking about being aggressive or using brute force. It's the quiet power that you get from controlling access to something that other people want or need. And when that scarce resource is you, your expertise, your decisions, your approval, that's when you hold some serious leverage. So here's a point that is absolutely critical to understand. Your job title might put you on the org chart, but it does not automatically give you real influence. Actual authority, the kind that moves things forward, isn't just handed out by HR. It's earned, and it's mapped in a completely different way. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. Over on the left, you see the formal hierarchy. That's the static org chart we all know. It declares who should have authority. But look to the right. That's the dependency map. It's the living, breathing, dynamic network of who actually needs whom to get anything done. Real authority flows along these lines of dependency, not through the neat little boxes on the chart. And this quote just nails it. The person who can afford to be absent is rarely powerless. Think about that. The ability to not be there, to have other options, sends a powerful signal that you are in demand somewhere else. It signals that your time is a high-value asset, which means your presence isn't a default, it's a deliberate choice. Optionality is strength. Okay, so that's the theory. Scarcity creates value. But how does this all play out in the day-to-day grind? Let's take a look at the modern workplace, because it's basically a constant, subtle game of access that's quietly deciding who moves up and who stays stuck. For so many people who are just trying to do the right thing, the path to losing their authority is just dangerously predictable. It all starts by offering that unlimited access. Pretty soon, your time isn't treated like a valuable resource anymore, it's just a cheap commodity. Then, the advice that people used to seek out, well, now it's just expected and it's easily dismissed. And the final step? You lose your strategic influence, because everyone just sees you as an operational tool, not a strategic thinker. And let's be really clear, the consequences for ignoring this dynamic are huge. That open door can very quickly become a trap. It leads to this quiet but steady erosion of your power and your effectiveness. And it doesn't matter how hard you're working. These are the penalties you don't always see. When you're always around, your negotiating power just tanks because there's no friction, no scarcity. You get drowned in low-value tactical tasks because, well, your time is seen as cheap. And then people start going around you to get to the real gatekeepers of information and decisions. You get slapped with the tactical label, not strategic, and you end up just stuck in an operational loop. So what about the people who get this? The ones who understand the signal? Well, they operate completely differently. They're playing another game entirely. By understanding and actually using the power of scarcity, they gain this distinct, really durable advantage in building and keeping their influence.
Now, this isn't a list of advice. These are just observed patterns of behavior. This is what effective people do. First, they treat their time like it's their most critical strategic asset. They get that a strategic absence actually creates demand. So when they do show up, their presence is an event, it's not the default. And yeah, by sometimes being a deliberate bottleneck, they force everyone else to really sharpen their priorities before they come asking for time.
So all of this brings the analysis right back to you. Because, look, understanding these signals isn't just about watching other people. It's about recognizing your own attention footprint and becoming really conscious of how you are perceived in the workplace. Okay, let's end with a few questions to really think about. First one, in your own professional life, where are you simply too available? Where has your open doors stopped being a nice gesture and started being an expectation that actually devalues what you have to say? Second question, look around your organization, and I mean really look, not at the org chart. Who are the real gatekeepers? Who is it that truly controls access to the people, the information, and the decisions that actually matter? I bet it's not always the person with the fanciest title. And finally, just a thought experiment. Imagine that starting tomorrow, your professional availability was suddenly cut in half. What would change? Who would fight to get a spot on your calendar? What low-value meetings and interruptions would just disappear? The answer to that question reveals an awful lot about where your real authority truly lies.